What is up, everybody? Ted here with Bodies and Wicks. I'm trying to do this new thing to where basically it's Bodies and Wicks bits, to where I'm gonna try to focus on these a lot quicker. That way you can try to get a lot more out of it in the least amount of time. Alright, so what I want to do is I want to tell you that I am a smart money theorist. I don't believe in trend lines, don't believe in geometry, all the jumbo XA, YB, whatever it is, your harmonics, none of that crap. None of that stuff works, okay? What does work is the algorithm and the algorithm that is in place, and it's definitely showing itself in Bitcoin, and I want to show you. So let's just go ahead and head on over to the chart. So I've got it on the monthly. So as you can see, I'm going to take myself out of this so you can actually see so you can not see myself actually, and bring back the outline. There we go. And so if we take it's about as close as a look as we can get on this. So there's a small little fair value gap here, right? And that's usually what kind of determines what price can do, if it's going to hit it, bounce off of it, or generally, especially if it's going to be bearish or bullish, it'll give you that sign. Considering the monthly went straight through this, that gave us a pretty good sign that we were going to see bearish conditions. However, if we go to the hourly and we look at that same condition, I want to see what happened at that spot. Yeah, as you can see, it just went directly through it. Well, no, it kind of gave a little bounce off of it at first, which is a good thing. And then after we made our 3 drives to the top, after that, it came down to it. I want to take a look inside of it, see what happened. It did get to the bottom of it. Usually that's not a good sign. You usually want to see it get to the top of it and bounce out. And it did actually. It got to the top of it, bounced out, but not much farther. It looks like there may have been something from over on this side. Look, there was a lot of liquidity underneath here. So it took out a lot of liquidity underneath here. So considering that there was liquidity underneath here, it probably knew that. A lot of people buying around this area, thinking that anywhere between 45 and 40,000 was going to be a safe place, considering we just hit 65,000. So it starts trying to find those buy limits that are lower. As you can see, it doesn't want to break this fair value gap from the monthly. It doesn't want to break it. It wants to stay above it. So you can see there was somewhat bullish conditions, but there was something bearish inside of there that made it eventually. And then as soon as it dropped out, what did it do? It just dropped out. And the next thing it does is boom, it hits the next monthly fair value gap. So since it hits the next monthly fair value gap, comes out, what does it do the next time? Boom, hits it. All right, bounces out, and we're getting close to hitting it again. So as you can see, those are the conditions that this has brought us to, right? So, and even if we go to like something like the weekly, we can probably even see fair value gaps in there. Here it just looks like it's, and this is what was strange to all of us, is that it didn't get below, because even though it did have that monthly one, all these got below it, but they pushed out like a freaking rocket, right? So that was the kind of the catalyst of that driving, part out of that monthly fair value gap. And that's what surprised me too, was, it hung down here long enough, but after it hung down here long enough, it was just like, I'm out of here. So I'm not for sure if we'll see the same thing here. Usually once you see it start getting, lower and lower and lower into it, that's usually not a good thing. It usually tries to push itself lower until you get to something else. Down here, you see if it does get to this one, hopefully we'll see it push out, right? But the only bad thing is that once you're on the other side of a fair value gap, it's going to want to push this down. So we could see a struggle here in between, somewhere in between, upper 27s, lower 29s. You could see a struggle session in there, bouncing back and forth, or until it gets all the way down to this area here, which is actually the weekly fair value gap. So, because from here, I don't see any bearish order or bullish order blocks at all. So there's nothing I see that's gonna say, hey, this is gonna. I mean, here, even then, this wasn't even really a bearish order block. I don't really think this would constitute, these three driving out of here would constitute as a bearish order block, meaning that the price should have stopped around this area, somewhere around this area, and then turned around, went back up, but it didn't. Instead, got into the fair value gap, pushed back out, got close to this one, but actually, if we think about it, it's this one right here. Look at the very bottom of this one, the very bottom of this fair value gap of the weekly, and then started pushing back down the opposite way. So now all we got to do is wait to see what's going to happen. Is it going to continue to keep pushing toward this, or is it going to come inside this and then bounce off? And then once it does that, where is it going to go from there? Well, then you'd have to, continue checking on each, time frame to see what is most likely to happen, to see where the liquidity is. If there is liquidity, there may be a little bit of liquidity above here, so it could reach higher into here. But I'm afraid as soon as it does that, it could be pushed back down. There is liquidity below here as well, which is unfortunate. So it could just push down below here, but it may be a sign that if we could get down, to these lower, 24, 25s, that may be the last of it. Who knows? And we could get out of there. Or it could be a thing to where we could see it continue to push its way down, just like it did through here, and then get all the way down to this last one, which ends around 20,000, below 20,000, unfortunately, somewhere around 14,000. I personally don't think we'll see that. We were way too far ahead in the Bitcoin game. I don't think, a mini, I mean, we see this all the time. If you ever pay attention to the Forex game, this is nothing more than just another, GBP USD type formation, or Swiss franc, Japanese yen formation, something like that. It's just on a larger scale, and unfortunately, a lot of people have money in this, so a lot of people are looking at this to see what's going to happen. So you have to use smart money and the algorithms that are in play to know what's going on. You can't just sit here and say, look at this, line that's doing this or whatever. Well, let me take this off of here. You can't just sit here and say, oh, well, look at this trend line. Well, what did that trend line do? Absolutely nothing, right? That was not a good trend line. It didn't do anything. Or are you trying to? What are you trying to do? Everybody's trying to fit something to make a trend line look good, you know, to make it look like, oh, it's in their favor, because you can switch around as many three pointed lines as you want and make it look good, and you know, in your favor. But is that really how this operates? No, it's not how this operates. It operates because price is always looking for liquidity, and it's looking to balance. That's all it's looking to do. So as long as you know that price is looking for liquidity, if you know what liquidity is, which is liquidity is where all either you have market limit, or you have buy limits, sell limits that are sitting there waiting in the market, waiting to, you know, to be triggered, or areas in the market to where people are waiting to go ahead and either push that, you know, especially if you have MT4. Either you're waiting to buy the market, to buy the price at that time, or if you're looking to short it at that time. Those are the areas that you're looking for. And then what smart money is going to do is they're going to take it the opposite way as to what you would think it would do, because they know that's what you're looking for. Because let's say if you had, especially down here, if you have, now we have 1, 2, if we have a triple, I mean, it wouldn't be a triple, but if we keep forming, you know, lines that keep, you know, extending down to here, down to here, down to here, everybody's going to bet that every time it gets down to there that it's going to buy, and they're going to make some money going up, eventually sell off, and, you know, and it's going to come back down. But at some point, it's going to push through at the last minute that you expect it, and you're probably going to put a lot of money into it. And everybody in the smart money, the people that have the money that can push this thing around, know that. And they're going to be able to take your money like no other. So be careful with that. Just know the algorithm. Know, you know, just keep your head on a swivel. And, you know, keep an eye on what's going to happen or what could possibly happen. And use these fair value gaps as your guide. You know, these things are what can show you, you know, where price can land. Because if price does not, you know, balance, like I said, and that's what a fair value gap is, it's where prices become unbalanced. Now, it can balance later, like it has here. But that doesn't mean that the algorithm hasn't remembered that area and that it's not going to come back to that area, as you can see as it did here, and then bounce back out, right? Algorithm hasn't hit this area yet. So who knows? We could see it come all the way back down to here to 25 to 24, right? Or what, you know, what we could see is that we could see it very slowly come down, touch this, and then all of a sudden turn the opposite way, right? And that's what we could see. We don't know. So just keep your eye on the swivel, and make sure, spend a lot more time studying smart money theory, less time on your geometry and stuff like that, because that stuff doesn't work, guys. It doesn't work. I've tried it. I've been a trader for over a year. I've done all of the whole, everything a book told me to do, between support and resistance, and, you know, all that stuff. And support and resistance is subjective, you know. It can change at any moment. And just who knows what is going to happen with the market, because the market is ever changing. So just always watch to see, you know, where price is headed, because again, it could just, you've seen it do it before, drop at any minute, and then as soon as it gets below something like this, it just stops, you know, or it acts like it's going to get there and it stops, and then it pulls back up because you think everybody's buying it, and then all of a sudden it drops again, right? So that's what you got to look for, okay? Anyways, like I said, I'm trying to do these in short spurts. I hope that was enough to get your attention, and you know, hopefully gets you to look into some of these things. But thanks again for watching. Again, my name is Ted, Bodies and Wicks, and I shall see you later. And remember to keep your pants on.